Spartanburg County, we are back. I'm Dr. Middleton, nurse practitioner, president of Upstate COVID Initiative, as well as owner of Perfectly Imperfect. Tonight, we wish to share with you the We Are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps campaign as we continue to try to prevent COVID-19 within our community. Tonight's town hall will focus on vaccines. We have an awesome panel tonight. You're in for a great treat. I must start with a prayer with Chaplain Dr. Ron Robinson, chaplain of Wofford College. So, Dr. Robinson, will you please lead us in prayer?
Sure, let's pray. On a wonderful day like today, O Lord, it's easy for our hearts to sing for the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. And at the same time, we are aware that there are many in our community who are tired. We pray for them, especially for healthcare workers. We know that many are hurting and struggling, who are suffering with COVID and the consequences that have come with it. We pray for healing, for hope, and for health. And we commit ourselves to be vehicles, to be used to bring about that healing and hope and health. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, for that wonderful prayer. I want to share with the community that we are in collaboration with the Spartanburg Clergy Initiative, who have been wonderful, as well as Regenesis Healthcare, who has been a great collaboration with Spartanburg Clergy Initiative. We have with us tonight Dr. Matthew Delfino, who is the medical director at Regenesis Healthcare. Dr. Delfino, please share with us the presence of Regenesis Healthcare within Spartanburg County.
Thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Matt Delfino. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Regenesis Healthcare. Regenesis is thrilled to be in partnership with the Spartanburg Clergy Initiative and the One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps campaign. Regenesis is in the Spartanburg community. We are a federally qualified community health center here to serve everyone's primary healthcare needs. We offer services regardless of your insurance status. If you have no insurance, then we work with you on a sliding fee payment plan. So everyone has access to our clinics, which are located in Gaffney, Spartanburg, Woodruff, and Union. At our clinics, we provide vaccines. We also provide testing for COVID. If you believe that you've been exposed or are having symptoms, all you have to do is call for an appointment. Also, we also offer comprehensive primary care, which means that we offer family medicine with women's health care, pediatrics, dental, behavioral health, pharmacy, chiropractic care. And we also have programs for agricultural farm workers, and we have medication-assisted treatment for anyone struggling with drug or alcohol dependence. We're happy to serve you. We're happy to be in partnership. Thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Delfino. He will be one of our panelists tonight as well. Dr. Robinson, will you please tell the community more about the We Are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps campaign?
Yes, this campaign has a mission of unifying the medical and the faith-based communities with the sole purpose of providing influence and heightening the awareness of the threat of COVID-19 right here within Spartanburg County and surrounding counties. We do that through congregations, through friends, through families, everyday people. We do it through social media, Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, television, radio, text, any platform that can facilitate the message. Our goal is to motivate, educate, and improve adherence to those 4 simple steps: washing your hands, social distancing, wearing a mask, and limiting gatherings of large crowds. This is roughly a 6-week campaign that will decrease COVID cases, and it will decrease COVID deaths. And at the same time, it will help improve the economy and facilitate a safe return to the classroom. So those outcomes that we're looking toward: decreasing cases and deaths from COVID-19, relieving strain on the healthcare systems and the healthcare community, increasing the opportunity to bring back the economy, and safely return children to the classroom setting full time. We do that through those 4 simple steps: washing our hands, social distancing, wearing a mask, and not gathering in large crowds. Together, we can do this. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, for that overview. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with our great panel. So stay tuned. Share this on Facebook so you can get all the information you need about vaccines.
As a historian and as a man of scripture, I understand the phobias that many people have to trust science. There's the Tuskegee experience and many other experiences that lead us to doubt, should we take the vaccine or not? As a man of scripture, the Bible says that he has not given us a spirit of fear, but that of a sound mind. So what I ask that you do is consult your PCP, be duly informed, and allow the Spirit of God in your own conscience to allow you to make good judgment.
There are a lot of myths, misinformation, as well as misunderstanding of information surrounding COVID-19 as well as vaccines. We wish to share science-based knowledge that dispels such myths, as well as provide an opportunity for our community to become informed.
4 simple steps provides me protection against COVID-19. Washing my hands, social distancing 6 feet, wearing a mask, and avoiding crowded areas.
In the upcoming weeks, join the faith community, faith leaders all over this city and county, and the medical community, as it is our commitment to bring to you as much information as we can concerning all of the viruses, side effects, its effect, and the numbers and how they're working. So remember, join us, whether it's a town hall meeting, whether you stop by some of our local centers to get information, or to Google and research the information yourself. But we're committed to keep you informed.
Practicing the 4 simple steps and getting vaccinated helps protect me against COVID-19.
Being vaccinated and practicing the 4 simple steps will help the community stop COVID-19.
These 4 steps and being vaccinated as well can help ultimately put an end to the pandemic.
Getting seniors vaccinated and practicing the 4 simple steps can put an end to this pandemic.
Being vaccinated and practicing the 4 simple steps for COVID-19 can help protect others.
Getting frontline workers vaccinated really protects them during these times of COVID-19.
Understanding science can help you make an informed decision with your healthcare provider.
Understanding the science and knowing the importance of this vaccine help make vital decisions for each of us.
Understanding the science is essential to making an informed decision for yourself. Be informed about the vaccine because this can save a life.
Be informed about vaccines because this may help you save your own life.
Be informed about the vaccination because knowledge is power.
I want to be informed.
I want to be informed.
I want to be informed.
Remember, together we can do this.
Together we can do this.
Together we can do this.
Hey Spartanburg, February 25th, we're going to have a town hall meeting. Be informed. Join us so that we can get you the vital information that you need so you can make an informed decision. Remember, February 25th, we can do this.
All right, everyone, we are back with the We Are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps campaign. We have the vaccine town hall tonight. I must give a disclaimer before we start. This disclaimer states that none of the information shared tonight is to treat, diagnose, or take the place of your medical provider. This information that is shared is for information purposes only. So just remember, everything that is said tonight is for information purposes only. We want to make sure, however, that you get all the information that you need so you can make informed decisions concerning the vaccines. We want to dispel myths. We want to make sure that you leave this town hall informed and understanding where you can get the vaccine and feel like you can have the conversation with your primary care provider. I'm going to start by introducing our panel tonight. Dr. Ron Robinson, if you will start, let the community know who you are.
I'm Ron Robinson. I'm chaplain, professor of religion at Wofford College, work with faculty, staff, and about 1,700 18 to 22-year-olds.
Dr. Delfino?
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Matt Delfino. I'm a physician and chief medical officer at Regenesis Healthcare.
Dr. Long?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kashisi Long. I'm an internal medicine physician, formerly at New Horizon Health Services in Greenville, now in private practice in Fort Mill.
Jones?
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. I am Dr. Dorlyn Jones. I am the Associate Chair of Family Medicine and the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at the Edward Via College of Osteopathic Medicine in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I also work as an urgent care physician for Prisma Healthcare.
Dr. Buffalo.
Good evening. Very grateful to be here tonight. My name is Dr. Leon Buffalo Jr. I am an internist in Simpsonville. I am the owner of Grace Internal Medicine. We just started this year in January, and I'm very happy to be on the panel tonight.
Dr. Selesky.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Selesky. I'm the Associate Dean of Clinical Affairs at the Edward Via College of Osteopathic Medicine in Spartanburg. I'm also an emergency medicine physician who works for Prisma Health.
Thank you. All right, we're going to get started. So the first question that we have for you is this. How would you address vaccine hesitancy when things such as the Tuskegee experiment, lack of trust from the federal government, lack of trust from healthcare system, health disparities, and lack of access to medical care and maternal mortality is more prominent within communities of color? Anyone would take a stab at that? How would you address vaccine hesitancy in today's climate? We have systemic racism. We also have our history of the Tuskegee experiment, Henrietta Lack. You know, there's a lot of health disparities that we continue to contend with in healthcare as well as in the country overall. How would you address vaccine hesitancy for those folks who do not want to get the vaccine because of our history and what currently we face? Not everybody answer at once.
I'd encourage people to establish a relationship with a primary care provider that they trust and feel confident in, and discuss the vaccine with that provider. A lot of the hesitancy comes from lack of information or uncertainty around the development of the vaccine or what's in the vaccine or what the effects may be. And if you have somebody that you can trust, or you can listen to forums like this and get information that allows you to make an informed decision, I think that'll help, because this is definitely different than an experimental time that we know that we've all been through. This vaccine has been tested and has been proven to be safe and effective. And so form a relationship with someone you trust in the scientific or medical community. We're available at Regenesis. You have doctors on the panel that are available all over Spartanburg and Greenville County, and start there.
Anyone else?
I would encourage people in the community to seek out reliable sources of information and not just a video that was shared on Facebook or a post that somebody made about the vaccine on Facebook. You got to make sure the source of your information is credible and is actually somebody with a degree in science or a physician or a physician, so that you're getting the right information. Because the internet, you can find anything to support your beliefs, but who's putting it out there is the question.
Do you feel like our history, you know, just in the country itself and what we see as far as systemic racism, how do you think that impacts most patients, people of color, their ability to trust and develop that relationship with a primary care provider if they don't necessarily look like them? Do you think that impacts, you know, the ability for them to feel comfortable enough to go in and have a conversation with someone that don't look like them?
I think it does make people a little bit more skeptical and concerned that maybe their provider doesn't understand where they're coming from, in which case you can seek out the opinion of more than one physician. You're always welcome to get a second opinion to see if they match, because if, you know, multiple people who don't necessarily talk to each other are saying the same thing, then it's probably true.
Right.
You know,
anyone?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You know, I have this conversation probably about 10 times per day, and everyone has some fear around taking this vaccination. especially the minority population. And it really does come down to trust. And most of my patients, they look to me, they ask me, did you get it? And I tell them, yes, I did receive it, and also sent my mother to get the vaccination. If you have that good relationship with your patients, they trust us. They may not trust what's been placed on television with everything that's going on around this pandemic, but they trust our word. So if you have a relationship with your patients, which I do, if you come see me, I'm going to get to know you. And if you have that trust between your patients, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm able to educate my patients, answer their questions. Some of them have brought up past discretions that have taken place in the African and American community, especially that Tuskegee experiment. And and I try to convey to them the efficacy and the safety of the vaccine, and really encouraging them by saying, hey, I went and got the vaccine myself, and I sent my own mom. But trust with your primary care provider is everything.
So do the panel, do you feel that lack of trust is the reason we have vaccine hesitancy more so than lack of information? Is that the consensus for the panel? Or both?
Go ahead. Okay. Oh, I was going to say, I think it's both, actually. Definitely both. Again, because of our past with the Tuskegee experimentation, Henrietta Lacks, and then also social media really plays a big role into the information that we get. Again, as our previous, my colleagues have mentioned, that there's a lot of misinformation on social media that you'll see that, just really wild ideas about where the vaccine came from or where COVID vaccine came from, or that it's not real and things like that, or people of color can't get COVID. That was a crazy idea at the beginning of this pandemic. So I believe it's multifactorial. However, I would like to say that even though that social media does play a big role in the just kind of the misinformation, there are some good sources out there. If there are some people who follow Instagram, there's something called Black Docs Get the Shot, where it shows a lot of Black doctors, people or people of color, doctors of color, that someone that looks like these marginalized communities, people of these marginalized communities, getting the shot. So I definitely think it's both. Again, just to take home just what our previous colleague said, you need to actually talk with your provider. Again, I'm the same as Dr. Buffalo said. Even in urgent care, people ask me, okay, what do you think about this shot, doc? I mean, again, I said, yes, I'm getting it. I know a lot of people that get it. I know a lot of people that look like me that get it. I sent my mom to get it. So I would say if it's good enough for my mom, it's good enough for you. So again, I definitely think it's multifactorial.
Okay. Some civilians cite, why take the vaccine if you still have to social distance, wear a mask, avoid large crowds, and wash your hands? What would be your response to those civilians? If you still have to practice the 4 simple steps, why take the vaccine? This is what I get a lot as well.
Well, the evidence shows that the vaccine is 95% effective. What if you're in the 5%? So that would be the biggest reason to continue to wear your mask and social distance and avoid large crowds. You should be washing your hands on a regular basis, COVID or no COVID.
Exactly.
So that part should always be there.
Also,
and one thing,
excuse me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Delfino.
I would just encourage people that the relief that you will get from knowing that you will not get seriously ill if you come into contact with COVID is worth it. So that's a huge thing. Even though you still have to protect from spreading the virus, knowing that you yourself are not going to be become seriously ill, have to miss time from work, be unavailable to your family or friends is an incredibly huge benefit.
And I was just going to say, I mean, in general, you just want to decrease the disease burden. There are going to be some individuals that aren't going to be able to get the COVID vaccine for one reason or another. And we need to protect those, our loved ones. So even though you get the vaccine, you still need to go ahead and practice those 4 simple steps so you can't spread it. So that's really the main thing I want to say about that.
And one thing we need to remember also is that we have to get to herd immunity. Okay, that's when the 4 simple steps, that's when that particular piece will actually go away, those 4 simple steps. When we get to herd immunity, that is 80% of the population. We are at 6% overall in the US as far as getting to herd immunity. That kind of give you a context of what we're working towards. That kind of leads into my next question. How long do the panel think it would take for us to get to this 80% within our country or within the state of South Carolina? How long do you think it would take? I think in South Carolina, we're about 17.8%. We have about almost at 1 million vaccines, 900,000 right now. How long do you think it'll take?
Well, if you do the mathematics and if we're, as a country, if we're vaccinating 1.8 million per day, and you have to get to 80%, which is about 200 million individuals, I mean, maybe by the end of the year, I mean, we should be there. But I don't think we have an exact day right now. Everyone's hoping by the end of the year, we will have reached that.
And the problem is how we get there. If we get to that herd immunity utilizing vaccinations, that's one thing. But if we get to that herd immunity by just kind of letting things spread, it's going to take much longer just because of all the virus mutations that can occur when it spreads from person to person. So that's something definitely to consider with that herd immunity concept.
And I will quote Dr. Fauci. He said, if you don't vaccinate, the virus will replicate. If it replicates, it's going to mutate. Right. So vaccinate, replicate, mutate. That's pretty much what it is. And you don't want to have severe illness and all the deaths that we've had in this country. All right, guys, thank you for that first section. We're going to have a short commercial break and we'll be right back.
My name is Benjamin Snoddy. I serve as senior pastor of the Mount Moriah Baptist Church of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I want to just share with you some of the challenges I've had as a pastor as a result of COVID-19. This has truly been a real difficult time. And we have sought to find ways that we can still be the church and still minister to the community and minister to each other as the people of God. Now, one of the things that I struggle with is I believe in and I enjoy visiting my members. I enjoy being there for them in the hospital and being there for them in hospice, being there for them in their homes, in the nursing home. And with COVID, I can't do that. I can't do that without risking myself and risking other people. So this has been something that's been difficult for me. I really miss in-service worship as well, because that's a powerful place. That's a powerful place. It's a powerful connection, and being able to be there, to see people, to preach to people, to share the gospel with people, but also to have opportunity to shake hands and to hug one another and just have that good social and spiritual connection. I miss that. But I know we can't do it, and so I've had to make adjustments. I want to ask you to make adjustment too. I don't like wearing a mask, but I wear one because I want to be safe. I want to protect myself. I want to protect other people because I love people, and I believe that this is the right thing to do. So whatever you do, wash your hands, wear your mask, keep the 6 feet distance, and make sure you use your sanitizer. Let us look out for each other, because if we love one another, we will protect each other. This is Benjamin Snyder. Thank you, and God bless you as we continue with COVID-19.
All right, we are back, and we'll continue with this great panel tonight. We're talking about the COVID vaccine. So if you have questions and concerns, please share them with us. Will the COVID vaccine cover any new strands of COVID, any new variants or mutations? That's a common question that I get. Will the current COVID vaccine cover any new strands of COVID?
So the data is looking like yes right now. Like you were saying, with the more strands that develop, the more chance that no, it might not or might not be quite as effective as it is initially. But as of right now, it looks like, at least for the strain coming from the UK, that yes, it covers that. Okay. And there's also the strain in South Africa, which I've been reading that it's not, I believe, the 94% effective. And someone please correct me on that if I'm wrong, but it is still relatively effective. But my personal concern is that just with the more mutations there are, it just leaves less and less chance for the immunization to kind of take control before the other variants do.
Anyone else? And yes, the South African variant is less, the vaccine is less efficacious against the South African, but you
couldn't remember the number.
Yeah, I think it was like 52%, I think. It was not as great. How long does the vaccine last? I get that common question as well, too. That's a very hot question. Getting a vaccine, how long does it last? I know natural immunity, some people say 90 days. Some people say it lasts a little bit longer than 6 to 8 months. Do we know the answer to that question yet?
I don't think we know the answer yet.
Yeah, exactly.
The virus hasn't been around long enough. The vaccine hasn't been around long enough to really have a definitive answer on that.
I think that
go ahead.
I think one thing that we can have to accept is that we will all likely need a booster vaccine at some point. Whether or not that's just to cover the new strains, or if it's to boost our immunity, boost our antibody levels. But as long as we go into this expecting that and knowing that, I think it's okay. It'll be all right.
I think that's a very important point that Dr. Delfino made. And I think that's a very hard point. You know, we are in a pandemic, and I think that has been like the hardest thing for most people to accept. And this is a very new virus. We're used to having the information right then and there. We're used to knowing that the research has been done over a period of time. But this is one of those unprecedented circumstances where we, have to like get the vaccine out in a more quicker fashion than we normally would. And, we may have to take boosters. When polio was around, everyone got together and took the polio vaccine and eradicated polio. That's what we all need to get to. We all need to just get the vaccine if we can, or have the conversation with your healthcare provider. I get this question a lot as well. Is the COVID vaccine a live vaccine, and what's in the vaccine?
It is not a live vaccine. It's a messenger RNA vaccine, which means that it is not going to give you COVID-19. You will have some normal immune system side effects that can occur with any vaccine, but it's not a live vaccine.
And the COVID vaccine has things like lipids, sugar, salts. I mean, it probably doesn't mean anything to the everyday American. I think the most important thing you really need to take from that, it's not live. We didn't get it from a COVID virus and it's going to give you COVID. It's an actual synthetic vaccine that we developed from lipid, salts, and other things that we use in research to develop vaccines. Is the COVID vaccine safe? A lot of people seem to think that it is not safe, that, it's going to take over your DNA. It's going to, create problems like sterility. Is the vaccine safe?
I mean, so far, the data says yes. Of course, for the Pfizer vaccine, that's safe for and studied in individuals 16 and up, and the Moderna 18 and up. But yes, so far it is safe. It doesn't change your DNA. It doesn't make you sterile or anything like that. The studies were not performed on as many pregnant women, but there are pregnant women that who are considered essential healthcare workers that actually have received the vaccine and have done just fine. But it is safe to do, and it also need to know that the way that we develop these vaccines is not new. We've had COVID outbreaks, or I would say coronavirus type outbreaks for years. We've had the MERS, the Middle Eastern Respiratory Virus, that happened in around 2012. We had the SARS outbreak that occurred in the early 2000s. And so they have been developing these type of vaccines for actually quite a long time. So that's why actually a lot of people are like, well, they think, oh, well, how in the world did these vaccines actually be, how do they get just produced so quickly? This is something new. But no, now COVID-19 is new. It's very novel. And our studies and things from that. But the way we develop these vaccines, it's definitely not new. So it is safe.
Okay.
One of the things that I learned that normally you have these phase trials, and these phases are done one after another. But apparently when they were manufacturing these vaccines, they did those phase trials all at once. And so they were able to do phase 1 simultaneously with phase 2A and 2B. And that was one of the reasons they were able to speed it up so quickly. But getting to your whole, is it safe? I watched a special that Tyler Perry did on BET, just trying to get it out there, trying to alleviate some fears in the minority community. And I don't care, we can sit on this panel and give them all the information tell them, to us as scientists, as physicians, the technology is fascinating. How they made these vaccinations. Lay population don't care about fascinating. You know, they wanna know that what they are getting is actually safe. And I've had to tell my patients, I'm going to be honest with you, I can explain this messenger RNA and how your body makes this gene protein, but it comes down to some faith. You know, man of God prayed earlier, you know, there's going to take some faith to take this vaccination. And we're a faith-based community. Faith has gotten us through many things in this country, especially, you know, during the 60s. And this is going to be one of those areas. You know, it really baffles me when I went to get my vaccination, I was almost in tears because I really felt the country wasn't taking this seriously. And when I looked around, I went to the Prisma Health site at the old Kmart. It was hundreds of people in line, excited, and they were eager to get this shot, you know, and my excitement went to a little bit of heartbreak because I could look around and I can only see maybe 3, 4 out of the hundreds that were minorities, you know, and so I've tried to push that, you know, it's going to take a little bit of faith. Messenger RNA means nothing to the lay community. We could put up graphics, cartoons, things of such, but it's going to take some trust. It's going to take a little bit of faith on the community's part for them to get this vaccination.
Yes, and we definitely need to get there. Thank you for that. Because I was looking at data today, and we're going to go to a short commercial break. When I calculate the numbers in South Carolina, I think we're about 9% of the vaccines that have been given in South Carolina. 9%, whereas individuals who are not of color are at 47%. So it's definitely, you know, we're being outpaced. And on this show, we want to make sure that you get the good information so you can make a good informed decision with your healthcare provider. All right, guys, we got to go to a commercial break and I'll be right back.
I encourage everyone to please practice these 4 simple steps and to get educated about being vaccinated, because that's such an important decision that we can make for ourselves and for others in our community that we care so deeply about.
All right, next question. What are the side effects of the vaccine? You know, I've seen on Facebook people stating that they have a complication, but they don't understand a complication is something serious. A side effect is you got a sore arm. So what are the side effects of the vaccine?
I can speak to that a little bit because I think I had some of the side effects actually from receiving the vaccine. But no, you know, I have, people can have anything from just a little bit of a mild sore arm, which is, you know, typical of a vaccination. To me, some of these things that you do get, your body is responding, and this is really good, right? This is your body's immune response to this, trying to protect you for later. I personally had a little bit of a fever and some chills and body aches that lasted about 24 hours. So, you know, you kind of have that range of things. It can be some people just have absolutely nothing. Some people just be a little bit tired. It really depends on the person, I think. And, you know, maybe other factors that you have going on in your life. If you've recently been ill, you know, maybe age can play a little bit of a component into that as well. So, you know, I haven't seen any studies that have said exactly, you know, what you're going to get, but I would just say it would really be based on the individual. But I will say that when I had my chills and my fever and from having that vaccination, I, a lot like Dr. Buffalo, was very, you know, obviously not feeling very well, but was very excited because I knew that my body was doing what it was supposed to be doing. And that was recognizing something that was foreign, this virus, and it was going to be protecting me in the future so that I can better help patients, okay, and so that I can help not spread this virus. So that's my take on that.
So the most common side effects are going to be your pain, swelling, redness at injection site. And then the lesser common ones, but still maybe top 10 would be like the fever, body aches, headache, nausea, joint pains, just feeling not well. And some people get swollen lymph nodes and fatigue. But overall, those are going to be way milder than what you would get if you got COVID-19. So kind of think about the risk versus benefits.
That's right.
Christy, I think you're muted.
Oh, am I?
No, you're not.
Okay, I also get how much will it cost to get vaccinated? I think people think the COVID vaccine is a cost thing, but how much will it cost to get vaccinated?
$3.99.
Free?
$3.99.
What? $3.99?
Yes.
$3.99.
$3.99.
Dr. Delfino, is it free 99 at Regenesis?
Yeah. The federal government has supplied the vaccines, and our agreement with them is that we will provide the vaccine at no cost. There are some cases where we'll charge an administration fee to insurance or to the Health Resources Services Administration, but when a patient comes in to the office to get a vaccine, they don't have to pay anything for that.
The medical community has had difficulty with compliance as far as 4 simple steps, as well as vaccine. Dr. Robinson, how do you think the faith community can help us, ease, some of these concerns, as well as, help people become more adherent? How can the faith community help us?
Yeah, I like to talk about trust and faith. And I think that one of the things that we can do is frame this as a way that we can love ourselves by taking care of ourselves, and love each other by being thoughtful and following these 4 steps and taking care of each other. It's just a way to be kind to our community and show a little love and respect for each other. It's pretty simple, really.
Okay, thank you. Will more than 1 dose of the COVID vaccine be required? I get that a lot, just with the Pfizer and Moderna. We know there are 2 doses, but can someone just expound on how many weeks apart you need to wait for each vaccine, and what's acceptable if you have to go past that?
So I can speak a little to that. Please chime in if I'm wrong, though. So the main ones that we have right now are the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine. You do need 2 doses of those vaccine. For the Pfizer vaccine, you have to have 2 doses 3 weeks apart, and the Moderna, it would be 4 weeks apart. You want to try to get your second dose as close with that within that interval. For example, if you get the Pfizer vaccine, you do want to try to get it as close to 3 weeks as you can. You should not go over 6 weeks, though, if you haven't received it within those dose interval times. So definitely you want to, so you do need 2 doses. Now, Johnson & Johnson is working on a vaccine that's 1 dosage, but I don't think that's out just yet. So, but yes, currently Pfizer and Moderna, you do need 2 dosages of that. If you do, let's say, for example, if you need some other type of vaccination, regular vaccination, or for example, tetanus, you should wait at least 2 weeks before you get that vaccination. I want to turn down my volume just a little bit. But you should wait about 2 weeks before you get that vaccination. But there is an exception if, for example, you have to go into the emergency room or urgent care because you've had some type of injury, such as you stepped on a nail or received a laceration or a cut. You can actually receive that vaccination, tetanus vaccination, in case of an emergency.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to take another commercial break, and we'll be back. You guys stay tuned.
So hi, I'm Christopher Palmer. I'm Director of Nursing at a local rehab and long-term care facility here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm also a registered respiratory therapist. So the effects that COVID has had on long-term care has been a plethora of multiple effects on the residents and or staff in long-term care. So with our residents, they have not seen family members since March of this year. It's still ongoing. It's had many different psychosocial effects on these elderly or geriatric population, to where, we're used to seeing our families, they're used to seeing their families. It encourages them sometimes. It just have that effect on them. So not being able to see them since March has definitely affected them mentally. We have tried to accommodate as much as we could by doing window visits and different things, but they are not able to actually come in, touch their loved ones, or really see them other than through a window or a phone call. Staff has to wear masks, which is KN95s or N95s throughout the whole shift. Face shields, go through a multiple screening questions every day, have their temperatures taken. For residents and staff, we have to test at least once weekly. Staff, we're testing twice weekly, which is a Q-tip going directly up your nose. It can be very irritating. So I think everybody has had to make a big change with this pandemic of COVID. That's the main things that I've seen, the effects that it's had on the residents and staff of long-term care. We have different people that come in that we call essential staff, whether that's X-ray, whether that's EMS coming in, that unfortunately sometimes can bring it into your building. Sometimes they are asymptomatic, that is without having symptoms of COVID, but you can be a carrier and you're actually spreading the virus and you don't know it. We've had staff the same way, or residents get it and they spread. They have to quarantine for a minimum of 14 days on a COVID unit alone. We have had to cancel activities. We've had to cancel communal dining to where these people are usually together. They have to eat in their rooms. We try to keep everybody kind of to their rooms so we don't spread anything. We encourage that the residents also wear masks. So it has just changed a lot with what we're used to prior to March.
All right, everyone, we are back with the We Are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps campaign. This is a vaccine town hall tonight. We have a great panel and we'll continue with our questions. If you receive both doses of a vaccine and are exposed to COVID, do you still need to quarantine? I get this question a lot. If you receive both doses and you're exposed to someone with COVID, do you need to do the 10 to 14-day quarantine if you receive both doses?
So if you've been fully vaccinated, meaning it's been greater than or equal to 2 weeks after your second shot, depending on which shot you get, whether it's Johnson & Johnson or the second shot of the Moderna and Pfizer, if it's greater than 2 weeks, that's fully vaccinated, and you're within a 3-month period and you're asymptomatic since the exposure, then you're considered to not, you don't have to quarantine. That's from my understanding from the CDC.
Okay. All right. So 2 weeks after the Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, or Pfizer, as well as within 3 months of either of the vaccines,
right,
then you do not have to quarantine as long as you are asymptomatic.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If a person catches COVID-19 in between dose 1 and 2, when should they receive their next COVID dose? They get their first injection and they get COVID-19 a week later. When should they get their next dose of COVID-19 vaccine?
When they don't have symptoms anymore. So basically after they've been through the illness and they're symptom free, that it's safe for them to go get that second dose.
And it's recommended because it's seen that the vaccine provides a higher level of antibodies, a better immune response than actually getting the virus itself in a lot of people.
Right. Is the vaccine safe for pregnant women? Is the vaccine safe for pregnant women? That's a hot one.
It's being studied, right? I mean, all of these things are being studied. They're never going to do that initial study on pregnant women. They just obviously, want to protect who they can. But I know that it is being studied right now. And I think that also is a very personal decision for people. As a healthcare provider, if I did happen to be pregnant at this time and I was, interacting with a lot of COVID patients, that might be something that I would consider for myself to protect myself and my unborn child. It's just really one of those things that I get, again, I'll say personal choice and understanding the science as best we can with the information that we have available.
I know a lot of women ask, is it safe to get the vaccine prior to pregnancy? And definitely I encourage, again, make sure you talk with your OB about all of this, and make sure you take the information that we're sharing with you tonight. It has not been studied or in pregnant women, as well as like people who have certain autoimmune diseases. So, you know, those things you have to take in consideration, but we do know that some pregnant people have received this vaccine.
So also, I think during the Pfizer trial, I think 17 women became pregnant during the course of the trial. And they, as far as we know, haven't had any adverse effects yet. But that's not a full study. They're working on the study now. And so we'll have to wait and see. But if you are high risk, you should discuss it with your OBGYN, because that does complicate. COVID itself complicates pregnancy.
And I just want to, you know, reinforce with everyone, this research is all new and ongoing to a certain extent as far as coronavirus 19. We did have the Foundation for Coronavirus Research in general, but for the 19, this novel coronavirus, it's all ongoing. So we learn as we go, as the research continues, you know, continue to talk with healthcare providers and stay informed on the changes that's coming out.
May I say that's what I love about science? It tells the truth, and it doesn't speculate about things about which it doesn't know. So I think that's really important for us to listen to the honesty that we hear here.
Okay. When will children be able to get the vaccine? When will children be able to get the vaccine? Anybody? Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted.
It's hard to answer because children were not included in any of the studies. The vaccines are only indicated for ages 16 and up. And so right now, what I've been advising patients and people who ask me is that it's important for adults to get the vaccine to protect our children. For the reasons we've mentioned before, we are vaccinated and we prevent the spread or we prevent mutations, then we're going to prevent children around us from being infected with new strains of this virus. It's helpful to know that children appear to do better with this virus and don't get quite as ill, so they're not necessarily as high risk a group. So we're focusing right now on adults, focusing on getting to that 80% for community, and that in that way we'll protect the vulnerable people around us, including children.
I think I read where.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. What you're about to say. Well, I was going to say the same thing, Dr. Middleton. I was going to say, I think I was reading and doing some research that I believe Pfizer and Moderna, they're actually doing some trials right now in children, but the ages are limited. It's 12 and up, I believe, and then I think another company is doing 6 and up.
AstraZeneca.
AstraZeneca, yes, thank you. So there are some clinical trials that are in process.
And with, you know, with research, it's not something, you know, that occurs like from yesterday to today. It takes time, and it takes, you know, actually getting people to agree to actually be a part of the actual trial. All right, guys, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we be back, we'll continue the We Are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps. This is a vaccine town hall. All right, everyone, we are back. The We Are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps campaign. This is the Vaccine Town Hall. We have a great panel tonight. We have been answering questions on the vaccine, so we'll continue. If I have a autoimmune disease like lupus, am I allowed to get the COVID-19 vaccine? Autoimmune diseases like lupus. Can I get the COVID vaccine with lupus?
I was going to say, in my opinion, you can consider it. I think, again, this is something going back to what a lot of my colleagues are saying, is discussing it with your primary care physician. We do know that immunocompromised people are very at risk for suffering mortality and morbidity from COVID. So that's something that you may discuss. But again, someone please correct me. I'm not exactly sure how many people with immunocompromised diseases were enrolled in some of these studies, but I mean, it is recommended that you should consider getting the COVID vaccine, just as if you had the flu, just as if you were getting immunized against the flu. We definitely recommend that immunocompromised patients get it. So, I mean, I think that is something that you will need to discuss with your provider or to decide whether you should get it done. But I believe it is recommended just because of the high risk of these options.
It was a small amount involved in these studies, but the small amount that was in the studies didn't have any flares, but they still need to continue to study as they give the vaccination out to follow those with autoimmune disorders to see what kind of reactions, if any, they have.
And is there anyone who should not receive the COVID-19 vaccine? Anyone who should not receive it?
Children, for now.
Age 16 and up, age 18 and up.
Right.
And of course, like if you have like an allergic reaction to things, then of course, if you have allergic reaction to the first vaccine, then don't go back and get the second one.
And by allergic reaction, we mean a severe anaphylactic reaction, not itching or hives.
Right.
Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to go to one more commercial. When we come back, we're going to wrap up. This is Vaccine Town Hall. All right, y'all stay tuned.
This is Dawn Staley, head coach of the University of South Carolina women's basketball team. In the fight against COVID-19, we all have an important role to play. Let's stop COVID-19 and spread caring. And remember to stay careful and stay connected. Visit DHEC's website for more ways to stay South Carolina strong.
All right, we are back. We are One Spartanburg 4 Simple Steps. This is the Vaccine Town Hall. Okay, our final question is, what are your final thoughts for the public? Dr. Ron Robinson, I want to start with you as a faith leader. You know, with us being in a position where we have had so many COVID deaths and changed our way of life, what would be your final thoughts to the public at this point?
Yeah, I was really glad to see Dawn Staley in that commercial because she works with the same age group I work with. And when I look at these 4 simple steps, you know, we're all, whatever our age, we're probably pretty good about washing our hands. Like Dr. Long said earlier, we should be. But those other 3 things, social distancing, wearing a mask, and not gathering in large crowds, most of us don't like that. And young people especially don't like that. It's really hard. And they tell me often, this is so hard. And it is. But I think the response back is, but you are capable of doing hard things. And we're here to support you to do that. So that's what we do as a community. We support each other during a difficult time, a hard time. We bring this wonderful information that we've had, and we stand together. Great name for our campaign. Together we can do this.
Thank you. Dr. Delfino, do you have any final thoughts for the community? What would you say pertaining to vaccine hesitancy, and, you know, how do we get past this? How do we get everyone to come together and get the vaccines, or at least talk to a provider, start developing relationships so you can consider getting a vaccine?
Yes. So I just like to think about it that I'm so thankful that we're living in a time where when we have a pandemic, we can bring together the scientific, medical, the faith communities and the public health community in such a united, cohesive effort to bring treatments so quickly. I would encourage everybody to take advantage of the fact, consider this blessing, not a test, but a blessing that we live in this time when we have access to such amazing treatment. Talk to people you trust, continue to participate in forums like this where you have a mixture of medical, scientific, faith-based people that you believe in, and just make an informed decision that protects you and your family and the community that you live in.
Thank you. Dr. Long, what would be your final thoughts? Vaccine hesitancy, our community is being outpaced in South Carolina. We're at 9% as far as the total vaccinations that has been given. You know, other races are at 47%. Like, how do we change that? What can we do?
One of the biggest things people say is that it came out so quickly. So I just want to remind everybody that the technology is not brand new. The coronavirus vaccine, the coronavirus itself has been around for a long time. It caused SARS and MERS, as mentioned earlier. And so they've been working on these type of vaccines for quite a while. So it's not brand new. And then the second thing I would say is that a lot of the disparities that we see in our community are because of lack of access to care, under treatment, and not being able to get care. So now that you have the opportunity to be included, you should take advantage of it.
Dr. Jones, any final thoughts for the community as far as getting vaccines?
Yes, I mean, you know, as of now, we've reached 500,000 deaths in the United States, 500,000 unnecessary deaths from COVID. You know, these 4 simple steps are definitely, I mean, they're easy. You know, washing hands has been a mainstay from the beginning of time, so we can definitely do that. And I hope that we can just come together to practice these, the 3 other steps, because we need to really eradicate this virus. I'm ready to get back to a new normal. I'm ready to, you know, to actually be able to enjoy more time with loved ones and meeting more people. And we need to get back to this new normal. So, but the other thing is just to again, continue to educate yourself. This is just a reiteration of what everyone else has said. Educate yourself. We're not here to try to force you to get a treatment that you don't want. We just want to actually keep you informed and keep you educated and make you have an educated guess. That's the beauty of us as human beings. We have the right of choice. And we just want you to be just as educated as you can be and protect your family. So don't feel afraid to ask questions to act trusted individuals and people who have a science background, your physicians, etc. So that's really the main thing.
Thank you. Dr. Buffalo, Grace Internal Medicine, what would be your final thoughts for the community?
You know, I'm not on the front lines. Like Dr. Jones is on the front lines. And working in outpatient care, I do have some exposure, and I've been in combat before, so I know what it means to be on the front line. But I've had to say goodbye to some patients that I should not have had to say goodbye to. And I had to say goodbye to my father-in-law. He died very early when the pandemic hit in March. He was 66 years old. I had COVID myself in September, so I know. I'm not trying to use scare tactics here, but I'm being real. I mean, I've had it myself. I know how it feels. I wasn't sick enough to go to the hospital, but I was pretty sick that it scared me. I've never been short of breath like that before. So I would have to say I didn't have the flu. What I had was real. Of course, I tested positive. And what I like to tell my patients, again, not as a scare tactic, especially if they're minority, I ask them, who's dying from COVID? You know, what ethnicity? You know, they'll say our ethnicity. And I said, and what comorbidities or what illnesses are associated with it? You know, and they can recite it. They'll say diabetes, and I said, and you have that. And I said, and what ethnicity is less dying from it? And who's getting vaccinated more? You know, and that tends to make people think, you know. And so if I had to leave you with a final thought, you know, I would look at that. I mean, we're dying from it, but we're being vaccinated less, you know. So that's my final thoughts.
Significantly less. All right, Dr. Selesky, what would be your final thoughts to the community? This vaccine town hall was full of lots of information, tried to dispel all the myths that we could. What would be your final thought as far as vaccine hesitancy goes and how we move forward?
Well, I'll say that in the emergency department, I have seen so many sick people with COVID. And I think as we talked about on one of the other town halls, you really see that range, right? Some people can just have a little bit of a runny nose and will be perfectly fine. And then like Dr. Buffalo is saying, other people with comorbidities and other factors can do much worse. So even if you are one of those people that says, I'm pretty healthy, I don't need that vaccine, I'll be just fine. Maybe it's not, maybe what you're doing by getting that vaccine is helping your neighbor, is helping your grandmother, is helping your friend, someone else that could get a lot sicker if they were to happen to get COVID. So I would just consider that, even if you think, that you'll be okay, and you know what, a lot of the time you're going to be just fine. So we don't want to scare you, but you could really be helping one of your neighbors. You could be helping someone else.
And I will add just my personal story. I was a survivor of COVID as well, and I was ill for about 6 weeks. I actually had double pneumonia. I still have difficulty with fatigue. I have difficulty with my vision in one eye. I know you probably can't tell that, but my right eye, the vision has been altered. And I talked to an ophthalmologist about it. He said a lot of COVID patients are experiencing that. I have a lot of brain fog. I still function, but, I have to remind myself a lot. I think the double pneumonia is what scared me the most. And like Dr. Buffalo was saying, it's a shortness of breath. I can't even explain to you what that's like. I still have something that's sore in the center of my chest, and I'm 2 months out. So, it's an illness that, you can't explain it, but I can tell you, and it's not to scare you like everyone is saying, you don't want to get this. So if you have the opportunity to get a vaccine and do something to help yourself, I strongly encourage that, because, I truly didn't think I would be sitting here. There were plenty of nights that I sat on my couch and I was not sure if I was going to make it or if it was time for me to go home, to be with my Father in heaven, because it was just that bad. So, I'm thankful that, I was spared. It's very difficult to watch all the people who did lose their life, because that could have been me. I was sick enough to probably be in the hospital, but I'm stubborn, wouldn't go. But, just know that this is real. COVID is not something that, is fake. It's not made up. It's very simple for us to get to a better new normalcy, those 4 simple steps. But, we have to come together. We have to. We are a better country than what we have put forth in the last year. We just are. When 9/11 happened, we all rallied together and we all got together and we, stood together. So, I ask that, at this point in time, the faith community, business community, educators, just everyone all over this country, as well as within this community, let's come together and work together. Do the 4 simple steps. Consider taking the vaccine. Talk with your primary care providers if you have some hesitancy so they can explain it to you. Attend these town halls so you can get the best information that you can. That's my final thought on it. I appreciate all my panel tonight. Dr. Robinson, Dr. Delfino, thank you so much. To Regenesis Healthcare for collaborating, the Spartanburg Clergy Initiative, thank you so much. Dr. Long, thank you for joining us. Dr. Jones, thank you for joining us. Dr. Buffalo, Grace Internal Medicine, thank you so much. Dr. Selesky, thank you. We'll have a closeout right now with Dr. Sanders Park. He's the president of the Spartanburg Clergy Initiative.
Well, let me thank everyone, particularly our visionary, Dr. Kristen Middleton. She has been very passionate and pointed about bringing information to the city of Spartanburg and to the county of Spartanburg. Dr. Middleton, I think we would just take a moment out and give you just a really expression of our appreciation. She has been front and center, she along with Reverend Milford Brock, to bring to you, each of you this week, valuable and invaluable information so that you can stay duly informed. I want to thank God seriously for the tremendous panelists who are here tonight and each week who have shared with the citizens of Spartanburg. We thank all of you. Your comments have been very transparent. The word that I think that I would like to close these town hall meetings with is integrity. And all of you have spoken with just incredible integrity, sharing your concerns, sharing your recommendations, but also being very transparent about what we do not know about this virus and what we do not know about the vaccine. There's a quote that I wanted to leave, and I think it would be benefit all of our persons who receive it, and it's by Mahatma Gandhi. He said, "It's the action," listen carefully, "and not the fruit of the action that's important." You have to do the right thing. It may not be in your power, it may not be in your time that there will be any fruit from the action, but that doesn't mean you stop doing the right thing. You may never know what results come from your action, but you do know this: if you do nothing, there will be no result. I understand, and we understand, that this unseen, unheard of, and unknown lethal killer is COVID-19. We don't know all the facts about it, but we do know we need to do something. So we would like to encourage you to do 4 things. Continue the 4 simple steps. Wash your hands. That makes sense. Stay 6 feet away from people that you don't know, or people that could be a carrier of the virus. We call it, I think, asymptomatic, unknown. Stay 6 feet away. That's the right thing. Stay away from large gatherings. No, nobody wants the government telling me what I can do or what I can't do. But guess what? Staying out of large gatherings minimizes the COVID surge and helps us to get to herd immunity, a term that you've heard about. If you don't know what that means, look it up. Herd immunity. It's the right thing. And then last, guess what? For some, they think it's funny. The mask has a lot of cartoon characters on it. But it's serious. Wear your mask. Because if you wear your mask, you minimize the possibility of the spread of the virus. It's the right thing. You've heard 6 clinicians and a pastor tonight give you all the information that you can. And I just encourage you to do the right thing. Do all that you can. I'll close with one of my favorite quotes in Scripture, and it doesn't matter what faith you are. An elderly man by the name of Paul wrote to a young son of his by the name of Timothy. He said that we do not have a spirit of fear, but that of a sound mind, that of power, and that of love. You have a sound mind to make good choices. That's on you, not us. You have the power to make a difference. That's on you, not on us. And you have a mandate to love. That's on all of us. So you make a difference. What you do or not do may not only save or take your life or a loved one, but take the life or save the life of someone you don't know. Thank you. We'll have great information coming in the weeks ahead. So please stay tuned to the Regenesis website, the Elephant Group website, to also the Spartanburg Clergy Initiative. In the weeks ahead, we'll have things coming. I want to tell everyone you did a great job. You've done a wonderful job, and keep making a difference because guess what? Someone is counting on what you do. God bless you. Have a great night. And again, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.